What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Reagan Faulkner Show. So today we're going to be diving into Gen Z. We're going to be talking about Gen Z. We're going to be talking about how Gen Z is in the most unique position, in my opinion, to make change, but why we're at risk of potentially losing this amazing opportunity. So I know normally I've got research, I've got data, I've got statistics, I've got articles, citations, I'm popping stuff up on your screen. But today we're going to be doing things a little bit different. We're going to be doing more of an opinion-based video. This is my opinion on the topic. You can fundamentally disagree with me, and that is completely okay. These are some of my experiences, my outlook, and the experiences and outlook of people that are also leaders of conservative groups, that are also extremely politically involved, that are also Gen Z. This is just experiences that I have had or that other people have had that I'm close with, and kind of combining that into a really interesting phenomenon that I've experienced, that I've noticed, at least where I am, and kind of what I've noticed from opinions and things that I see online as well. So we're gonna scope out and start with a global outlook, and we're gonna look at how in other countries Gen Z is extremely politically active. And when I say extremely politically active, I mean holding insane protests and they want extreme change in these foreign countries. So let's look at a specific case study. Back in September of 2025, Gen Z held they held protests. It was literally called the Gen Z protests in Nepal because the country banned 26 social media sites that Gen Z valued. I believe these were like Snapchat and X and TikTok and Discord. They were where Gen Z predominantly communicates, where they share their opinions, where they get news, things like that. So Gen Z started protesting, and it ended in nearly 75 deaths and I believe over 1,700 injuries. It was an insane quote unquote protest. It was actually a revolt. They burned down a very historic mansion. The prime minister resigned because of the protests, and a new prime minister was put in place. So we see tangible, physical Gen Z political involvement in Nepal. Now, very similar things happened in Morocco and Bangladesh, where Gen Z was protesting, Gen Z was becoming politically active, they were becoming involved, and it led to sweeping governmental changes in these two other countries. And this is happening around the entire world. These are three specific examples, but there are articles upon articles upon articles about the phenomenon. There is something happening in other countries where Gen Z, they're done with corruption, they're done with being silenced, they are sweeping for government change. They're advocating for immense government change in these other countries. So what about in the US? What are we seeing here? Well, yes, we did see extreme involvement from Gen Z back in the 2024 elections to elect President Trump. We saw a lot of work from Charlie Kirk, from Turning Point USA, from other organizations, college Republicans, things like that, to mobilize this newly able to vote base, to mobilize these Gen Z Americans because they are overwhelmingly conservative. So let's talk a little bit about Gen Z. Gen Z loves yapping. We love just talking and yapping. We love it. We love sharing every single thought that enters our brain on the internet. Whether this be Yik Yak, whether this be X, whether this be making random videos to put on TikTok about something that we think affects us or something that we found annoying, whatever, we love putting our every thought on the internet. We also love complaining, which is kind of how we end up putting our every thought on the internet. Gen Z really likes complaining. We love saying how things should be. We love saying what our leaders should be doing, critiquing them, critiquing every single move. We're not in it. We don't know the context maybe of what some of our leaders are doing, but we have very strong opinions about it. And maybe it's not complaint. Maybe we think leaders are doing really good jobs, but we're fully convinced that our opinion is the right opinion. Now, why doesn't Gen Z mobilize? If we have these incredibly strong opinions or these incredibly strong critiques, why aren't we mobilizing? Why didn't we win the 2025 elections? If we were so involved in 2024 that we got President Trump elected, not fully and completely Gen Z, I acknowledge that, but to a very extreme degree, Gen Z was involved in the election of President Trump, then why didn't we win the 2025 elections? Why didn't conservatives do that? If we're overwhelmingly conservative, which is demonstrated in a study from the Yale Institution for Social and Political Science, which showed that Americans aged 18 to 21 were leaning Republican by 11.7 points. Now, the 21 or 22 to 28 base is different. They do lean more Democrat, but we're talking specifically about 18 to 21, the people that are in college at this moment that can participate in politics and be involved. Why aren't we mobilizing? I think it's an incredibly pressing question that could hold extreme political ramifications for our future. Well, let's look at most conservative meetings. Now, this can be GOP meetings, this can be college Republicans meetings, this can be Turning Point USA meetings, this can be whatever conservative meetings that you might have experience attending. You see young people, and most of them want to talk. Most of them are introducing themselves to candidates or to the chairman of the GOP. They're asking questions. I know at our college Republicans meetings, when we have Q&A panels or Q&A opportunities with our guest speakers, the questions that are asked are so valuable. They are so on point with the current events that are happening in the current situation that our country is facing, whether these are pertaining to conservative influencers, whether these are pertaining to the perceived conservative civil war, or whether these are pertaining to immeasurable topics like our national debt. Gen Z is thinking. Gen Z knows what they're talking about, and they're very interested in getting answers to their questions and understanding what their leaders believe. When it comes to policy debates, Gen Z knows what they're talking about. The degree to which they can debate policy and discuss policy is absolutely amazing for such a young base. We do our research and we know what we're talking about. Again, we have the world at our fingertips. Anytime we have a question, we look it up, and you would be surprised by how well members of Gen Z that are politically interested. Now, I'm not talking about people that don't care about politics at all, but are Gen Z. These are specifically politically interested members of Gen Z. But when you ask this group to get involved, to make actual tangible change, because they're yapping on the internet and they're telling their friends and they're getting so involved at these GOP meetings, when you ask them to make change, you get crickets. It's so interesting. It's a phenomenon. It's an anomaly, in my opinion. From my experience, you generally get the same 3 to 5, maybe 5 to 7 people that are willing to be involved, but you don't really get anybody else. If you put something out in a group chat, you get the same people liking the message. You never really see anybody new. It's very interesting, especially when some of the people that aren't getting involved are the most vocal at the meetings. They're the most vocal when we have speakers. They're the ones that always show up, but they're not showing up where they can be involved and make tangible change. Now, we've also seen a lot of criticism coming from Gen Z and coming from a lot of different age groups within our country over President Trump's first 365 days. He hasn't done enough. He hasn't met every single promise. We haven't seen mass deportations. We want more deportations. There are a lot of opinions. There's a lot of criticism. I've seen people calling it blackpilling, where it's just, oh, it's never going to be good enough. It's sad. This isn't what I voted for. Oh, I had much higher expectations. But the fact of the matter remains that policy changes at the local level. Change is made at the local level. The degree to change that we want to see, yes, there are some changes that we expected within this first 365 days that we may not have seen, but a lot of the changes that we want as conservatives are going to happen at the local level. They're going to happen with the school board. They're going to happen with your city council, with your county commissioners. And those are the elections that we lost in 2025. The elections that we lost in 2025 are the elections that affect you and affect the policy that you have to deal with in your day-to-day life the absolute most. So if we want to complain, we need to get up and we need to do something about it. Now, before my peers get too mad at me and there's, oh, I have class or I have a job or whatever, it's not all you. I offer a caveat, and that is, I've heard time and again from different people within Gen Z, within the politically active group of Gen Z, that they've been connected with different opportunities with their elders, with people that are looking for young people to be involved in some form or fashion. And then months later, they'll say that they never heard back about the opportunity, or that they were never reached out to, or that the opportunity just kind of like dissipated and never happened, that they were really excited about it. So we hear from our elders that yes, it's time to shine. We can make a change. It's our generation. It's time to give us the torch. But oftentimes, when Gen Z actually gets involved and is ready to be involved, they may have a preliminary meeting with no follow-up. They may never even get a response to their text, or their contact may be shared and they never hear anything more about it besides the initial, like, hey, are you interested in this? I'll send your contact. Or their opinions are just not taken seriously, their ideas aren't taken seriously, and they're just kind of put on the back burner. So there is that caveat that to a degree, some Gen Z they've tried and they've become apathetic, which is extremely disappointing. But this is not the majority of the cases. This is not even, in my opinion, a statistically material amount of cases. This is a very small amount of cases. But to those of you listening that have had this experience, I'm not calling you out. You have tried, and I'm really sorry that that is a situation that happened to you. But my main critique of Gen Z is that we only use the internet as our form of quote unquote activism. We use TikTok, we use Instagram, we use X, we use Yik Yak, we spread our opinions, we spread our ideas online. They go viral. They may get hundreds of comments. They may get thousands of comments. Our ideas have an extremely broad reach, especially among people our age. And yes, this outreach is critical. It is extremely critical because these media sites are full of members of the far left activists, I would argue, are within these spaces. They're within their echo chambers. When they come into our comments and they're so mean and they're so scary, and they're also so wrong. Like, I'm really sorry to say it, but they're wrong. I've seen some absolutely insane arguments from members of the far left in my comment section. I'm just like, oh my gosh, what? I don't even know how to respond to that. So it's extremely important for conservatives to be in these spaces and to support people. I'm not critiquing the value of being in these spaces, because if we aren't in them, then we give up a very, very important piece of our culture to the far left. And once you give it up, you can't really get it back. Once you kind of get pushed out of social media, it's very hard to get it back and get the algorithm back in your favor. So I'm not critiquing that. But what is the point of virality if nothing is done with it? Why do you care if you go viral? Why do you care if you go viral? Why do you care about the information that you're spreading? Why do you care about your message if there's absolutely no follow-up concerning how to activate the movement or to use this information that is being shared? You have maybe thousands of views, maybe 100,000 views, maybe more than 100,000 views, and your message is getting shared, whatever it may be. Maybe it's about the history of the transgender movement. Maybe it's about the history of abortion. Maybe it's, just some critique of the left that's an argument that, you haven't really heard. It's very unique. Maybe it's your own opinion about something that makes a lot of sense. These are very important to put on social media. They're very important for the public to hear. But if there's no follow-up, if there's no way to send these however many people liked it, thousands, 10,000s, hundreds of thousands of people that liked it, and say, hey, if you like this, it's really important for you to go do a Prove Me Wrong debate on your campus. Learn more about this and go do a Prove Me Wrong. Learn more about this and go to your GOP. Learn more about this and start a club on campus. Learn more about this and you see how important it is. Hey, this candidate is actually super against this thing that I just disproved in my video. Go help them run their campaign. Go help them get people elected. If we're not doing that with our content that's going viral, then what's even the point? Really, what is the point? We're picking up the mic, but when you pick up the mic, you got to do something with it. You got to make sure that there's a follow-up, because when I think of a mic projects audio, right? So you don't just want to put your thoughts and opinions into an echo chamber. That's what the left does. Project whatever you are saying, project it, put it out further, activate it, make it do something, make it mean something. Views are just views. Now, another important thing to keep in mind about Gen Z is that Gen Z is motivated by purpose. We are motivated by meaningful work, among many other things, but purpose and meaningful work. We don't want to do busy work. We don't want to do things that have no purpose just to do them for whatever reason we're going to do them. So I offer the argument to my elders, to the people who are passing the torch to us, to those running for office, and even to my fellow influencers that are on social media or to podcasters that are Gen Z, that if we want involvement and we want mobilization, we must frame our movement in a manner that makes Gen Z feel that their efforts are worthwhile. So let's think about how Gen Z might think. Gen Z may think, well, why go door knocking if they don't answer the door? Or if we lose? Or if I could be doing something else more enjoyable? I don't understand what the ROI on my door knocking might be. It's super important to us or to the candidate or to the GOP or to the group that's mobilizing these volunteers to find some way to provide some statistics or some way to say, hey, here's your ROI. Here is how door knocking actually influences election. Here's how it's actually useful to saving America. And now I'm going to say to Gen Z, door knocking is not the only way that you can get involved. I know people ask you to door knock. It's not the only way to get involved. It was the most practical example I could use. There is so much more to politics. Candidates want your ideas. Change needs to happen at the local level. It can only happen at the local level. Donald Trump can do whatever he wants to do up in the White House. But if we don't make sure that that is solidified at the local level, then the next president will come in and they will repeal that executive order, or they'll have Congress write something that overrides it. We have to ensure that what's being done at the federal level is being secured at the local level. It is so, so, so crucial. I mean, here are just some basic things that you can do that aren't door knocking. First of all, the 10 Commandments, it's now legal to put them back in the classroom. SCOTUS made a decision that you may get pushback on it, but it is legal. So write a petition, lobby your school board, your local school board, your state legislature to mobilize that, to get that back in your public school system. The SAVE Act has to pass, guys. It has to pass. If we want to secure elections, if we want to make sure that elections can't be stolen, that people who are dead or are illegal can't vote, we have to make sure that the SAVE Act passes. And right now, I believe the last thing I heard is that 15 Republicans are ready to vote against it. So call your House of Representatives member in DC. Say that this is what the people want. Demand it to pass. Write an email. AI will help you write an email. I will help you write an email. Somebody will help you write an email. Write an email to your representative. Write an email to your senators. Call your senators. Have your friends call and write emails. It's going to take you like 10 minutes. You definitely have 10 minutes in your day, guys. I promise. I promise that there are 10 minutes. And if there aren't, then, I have been there and there just aren't 10 minutes. But for the majority of y'all, there are 10 minutes to write an email. To the adults listening, please offer help. When young Gen Z, when young Americans have a vision, encourage them. Keep up with them. Follow up. Give them that phone call. Give them that text. Don't do the work for them. I know we have to do the work ourselves, and I completely agree. Don't do the work for them, but don't leave them out to dry either. If you think that they're not willing to do the work, then help encourage them. Find some way to say, hey, what you're doing is really important. Here, I can offer some help. I can offer some encouragement. I'll buy you a coffee so you can get jacked up on caffeine and accomplish what you want to accomplish. If somebody sends you a phone number of people that want to get involved with whatever opportunity you have, make sure you call them back. Make sure you text them. Make sure you follow up, because we really do. Some of us, the ones whose numbers you're receiving, they do want to get involved. Not all of us. But if somebody's sending you a phone number, that person really wants to get involved. Whoever's sending that number really trust those people, or the email address, or suggesting somebody, whatever it may be. When you get somebody suggesting it, that's somebody that wants to be involved. That's someone you can trust. To my religious listeners, to my Christian Gen Z that may be turned off by politics, you don't want to put your toes in it. You listen to podcasts and you have your opinions, but you're not ready to really get involved because that's outside of the scope of religion. It's not outside of the scope of Christianity. If you don't step into politics, the left is going to win. They are going to win. They will eat us alive, and they will destroy every value that we hold dear. Because when we look at some of the issues right now, when we look at abortion, when we look at people being released out of jail 27 times and then committing more murders, those are violations of our Christian principles, but those are also political issues. And they have come to a crossroads where conservative Christians have to get involved. If you are upset, you have to get involved, because once Donald Trump's not in the White House anymore, if we lose the midterms, who knows what's going to happen, and it won't be good. I can promise you that. I may not know what's going to happen, but I know it won't be good. It is a massive issue for Gen Z to claim that they want change and then to not actually do it. And yes, it is a sacrifice. It's an insane sacrifice. I know that it's a sacrifice. I personally know, guys. I really do. But if we don't sacrifice it, people like Mondani, people like Gavin Newsom, they're going to become commonplace. It's not just going to be California and New York. It's like, oh, it's California and New York. What do you expect? But no, then it's going to be North Carolina. Well, North Carolina can go blue sometimes. What do you expect? And then it starts going to red states. It starts going other places. The only place left might be Florida. We see a lot of people moving to Florida, so maybe Florida won't even be safe. If we don't get involved, if we don't make the sacrifice, the protests won't just be in Minneapolis and Portland and New York City. They're going to be coming to a town near you. They are going to become more broad. They are going to keep going. They are going to not just stay in these super liberal pockets, guys. They're going to expand, and they're going to go further. We have a unique position. We have a unique opportunity to change the course of our nation. The tide has started to turn, but I heard a really interesting kind of allegory. Politics are like an aircraft carrier. They can turn, but they're headwaters and they're heavy, and you have to deal with the tide and the ocean, and it takes a really long time for them to turn. So yes, the aircraft carrier might be turning with Donald Trump, but if we don't do something to secure the midterms, then it's going to turn in the wrong direction, or it's going to face so much pushback that it physically can't turn. So we have an opportunity to change the course of this nation. We have an opportunity to make sure that that aircraft carrier actually turns. We have the opportunity to make sure that the midterms are secured. We have that opportunity. It is in the palm of our hands. And as Gen Z, can you imagine what the headlines would be? Gen Z turns 2026 midterms. I mean, that would be insane, y'all. Don't you want that? Don't you want that? We have an opportunity to fix the economy. You can buy a house. It's possible, but you have to make sacrifices to get there. You can fix the job market, but you have to make sacrifices to get there. You can save the future for your kids, but you have to make sacrifices to get there. You can have a family and you can have the American dream, but you have to make sacrifices to get there. You have to make sure that we get the midterms. You have to make sure that the woke left doesn't win, that they don't go back to everything that we have fought hard against for so long. You have to fight. Being in Turning Point, being in College Republicans, going to AmFest, going to Student Action Summit, it's good, but it's not enough. Take that information, take that energy, take that passion, take that knowledge, take everything that you have and your experience and get off the internet. Stop complaining. Stop yapping and start moving. Go do something. Because let me be frank, and this might ruffle some feathers, and I'm really sorry, but no one on the internet actually cares. I hate to break it to you, but you don't. You are an object for the entertainment of others, and that is it. And no, I'm not being hypocritical. I know that I post on TikTok. I know that I post on Instagram, but every time I post, I am fully and completely aware that I am the subject of somebody's 90-second blip of entertainment, or the education for somebody's day for 90 seconds. And they're going to scroll and it's not going to be me anymore. Those likes feel good. Those comments feel good. Sometimes the comments don't feel good. But at the end of the day, you're just the object of somebody else's entertainment. There's no loyalty. You can have all the followers, but there's no loyalty. The next time that the next big thing comes, you're going to get left behind. The algorithm's going to abandon you. You're nothing more than a specimen to be observed online. It's like the zoo. It really is. There are different exhibits. There's the political exhibit. There's the influencer exhibit. There's the cooking exhibit. You're nothing more than a specimen to be observed online. And at your absolute best, you might impassion somebody to get involved or give them a point to combat the radical ideology of the left. You might give them a good quip to use when they're in class and somebody says something dumb and you're like, oh, I saw this on TikTok and I know it's true because I looked it up. But that's at your very best. At your very worst, you are the object of somebody else's entertainment. And you have to take that entertainment and find a way to project it, pick up the mic, make sure it's plugged in, and project that mission. Make sure that it's going somewhere and that it's being used in an effective manner. So where do we go from here? Maybe you want to get involved and you are just like, I don't know where to start. I don't even know what to do. There's so much wrong, so much I feel like is wrong with our country. There's so much that I've been complaining about. Where do I even start? First and foremost, I'd say call your GOP. Call your GOP. They want to hear from you. Say that you're a young American, that you want to win the midterms. What can you do? They will tell you something. It might be door knocking, but they will tell you something that you can do. If you don't want to do that, you can think of a change that you want to see in your town, in your city, in your county, or in your state, and you can start working on it. You can do petitions, you can do advocacy. And in this sense, yes, social media does help spread your mission, but make sure you have a link tree or a hyperlink to your petition, or that you have an email list or a newsletter, something to make sure that there is action behind your words on social media. Third thing that you can do is start reading, start learning, then you can share. Again, still the whole social media thing, make sure that whatever you're sharing, that there's action behind it. Hey, this is a really good debate topic to use, stuff like that. But start reading, start learning, start sharing, start using it. Use it in your own life. Use it on your own campus. Uncover the fraud. Research that. Uncover the fraud. Uncover the corruption of your elected officials. You have the power at your fingertips. Literally, you can video anything. You can research anything. You can edit anything. You can do whatever you want to do with your phone or with your computer, or some of you have PCs. You really do have so much power right there. You can make a change. You can be the next Nick Shirley. You can be the next major Project Veritas expose. If that's your thing, you can go online and you can sign up with them and be the next expose. Last thing you can do is make sure, well, not the last thing I've got for you today is that you can hold your elected officials accountable. You can call them, you can email them. If you see something, say something. Again, this is where social media can be good for advocacy if there's action behind it, if there's effectiveness behind it, if you're empowering people to do something with the information that you're giving. Demand accountability from your elected officials. Demand reform from your elected officials. Demand that what you voted for in 2024 is brought to fruition. You can do that. You can demand that. You can do that. It doesn't just have to be doing it on the internet. These can be things that you talk about in your clubs. These can be peaceably assembling and, protesting something, not like the left does, but you can still be involved. You can still peaceably assemble and bring attention to something without breaking stuff and harassing people. If you still don't know what to do, if none of this sounds like you, or if you're like, oh, well, there is this change, but I don't know where to start, reach out to us here at the Reagan Faulkner Show. Reach out to us at the Wilmington Standard. We want to help you, and we know what's up, and if we don't know what's up, we know somebody who does know what's up. We will help you make that change. We will help you get activated. We will help you get mobilized. Message me on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook at The Reagan Faulkner Show, or on X at ReaganF25. Visit our websites, ReaganFaulkner.com or thewilmingtonstandard.com, and email us. Our emails are right there. It's like a contact us or get connected thing. Like, we get everything and we read everything. I read every single comment. Comment on something and say, like, get involved, and I'll DM you. We will make sure that you are involved. We are ready to win the midterms. We have the numbers on our side. We have the energy on our side. We just need to mobilize that energy, that motivation, and that passion. We are ready to win the midterms. We are ready to make massive change. We are ready to bring back conservatism. We're ready to bring back the values and the visions of our founders. We are fundamentally ready. We are actively ready. We are passionately ready to do that, but we have to mobilize. We have to get off the internet. We have to get off our butts. And we have to go out and we have to move. We have to do the thing to win the midterms. We have to do the thing to make the change happen that we want to see. We have to do the thing, as Charlie Kirk calls it. It's right up there. We have to do the thing to make the right-wing revolution. We've got to actively get up and go do it. We can't just stay on the internet and make podcasts and make videos. We have to physically do the thing. Progressivism and the radical left's ideas of wokeness and socialism and DEI and cancel culture, they all have to end. They all have to end. It is inherently built, these ideas, These ideas are inherently built on the inability to dissent. Oh, if you dissent, you're a Nazi. If you dissent, you're a racist, or you're a fascist, or you're homophobic, or whatever you are. Like, if you dissent, you're just automatically this bad person. There's no room to talk. There's no room to discuss. With some people, there are. With regular liberals, there are. But with members of the far left, there's no room to dissent. And that's what they're operating off of. The people that are really pushing for just wokeness to take over everything. They're operating off of the premise that you can't dissent and it's going to take over. It is incapable. These ideologies, these radical ideologies, are incapable of coexisting with Christianity, and they're incapable of coexisting with the moral nature of our Constitution, our founding documents, and the ideas of our founding fathers. If we don't step up, if we don't fight back, if we don't mobilize, we will quite literally be eaten alive by these ideologies, by wokeness, by everything that is inherent to the party of the far left right now, everything that they stand for. We will be eaten alive if we don't mobilize, because again, you can't dissent to it. It just kind of overpowers you unless we start making physical changes at the local level, and we start making sure that we're securing legislation, and that we're securing our candidates, and that we're holding them accountable, and that we're not letting them fall for the trap of wokeness and fall for the trap of DEI and fall for the trap of things because they want to make sure they get reelected or they don't want to be called a bad name. We've got to hold these people accountable and make sure that bad legislation doesn't move through and that good legislation does move through, so that we can protect our futures, so that we can protect the futures of our family, and so that we can protect our country. We see the tide changing. We see the aircraft carrier making subtle moves and subtle turns. But the far left ideology won't go down quietly. We see what's happening in Minneapolis. We see what's happening across the country every time President Trump does absolutely anything. It's not going to go down quietly. So the question is, are you going to step up? Because the choice is yours. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the Reagan Faulkner Show. Remember, if you want more content, check us out on TikTok, Instagram, X, and Facebook at the Reagan Faulkner Show. X is at ReaganF25, and we are on all of those at the Wilmington Standard except on TikTok. And if you have questions, comments, concerns, you want to reach out, you want to know how to get active, message us through any of those social media platforms or visit our website, ReaganFaulkner.com and thewilmingtonstandard.com, and drop us an email or a contact card, and we will be sure to get in touch with you. Thank y'all so much, and I will see you on the next one.